life is a comedy. Things just happen to me. Can anyone here relate? In the strangest places, just things unfold, and I'm going, how did this happen? It's last week, I'm thinking about this, I'm like, oh, I got to entertain for 15 to 20 minutes. What am I gonna say? So I'm there in the kitchen, and I'm having my cup of coffee, and I got one of those blueberry muffins. You know, the big Costco blueberry muffins? Oh, those are so good. I put it on a plate, and I pulled off the paper, and I put it in the microwave for exactly a minute. It gets at just the right temperature. Then I cut it 3 slices, gives me 6 equal little wedges. And so as I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, and I'm taking notes, what am I going to talk about? How am I going to entertain for that long? What am I going to say? So I'm kind of doing this. I'm just kind of shuffling, drinking my coffee and thinking and formulating. And I take a big swig of coffee and I look down and there's blueberry everywhere. I'm like, what just happened here? Apparently, one of my first little wedges jettisoned a couple nice big blueberries that I proceeded to dance around in. And they were all over the kitchen. I'm like, well, there's my intro. I didn't always find it so amusing when things were happening to me, though. When I was younger, when something would happen, I'd get a little upset or super elated, but I was just all over the pendulum. And especially when something wasn't going right, I'd get mad, get depressed. And there was this time, I realized that I was creating my destiny when I was 18. I was really cool when I was 18. I had a 1965 Dodge Dart GT 2-door, slant 6, mag wheels, lots of chrome. I was the stuff. I was really cool. So one day I'm cruising, it's a summer day, and I'm zipping down the road, going a little too fast, my music on a little too loud, and I'm taking a right at this intersection, going too fast. And as I come around the corner, here's a little old lady right in my lane of traffic. And I'm like, whoa! And so I quick swerve into the oncoming traffic. Thankfully, no one was there. But as I come around her, I decide to let her know my amount of disappointment and gave her a little wave of a single finger. But with one hand on the wheel, when I oversteered and my wheel caught the edge of the road, there was a little bit of a dip there, pulled the wheel right out of my hand and shot me at about a 45-degree angle of my lane, right between a telephone pole and a tree. Shot me across the ditch and right into a residential yard. And by the time I can get this car under control, slam into a tree, just kind of bury it underneath my car. And I'm sitting there, my car's making an awful noise. And I'm like, oh, shut it down. And I'm just sitting there going, wow. And I can just hear my mom go, karma, karma. You gotta watch out for what you're dishing out. And the little old lady comes out and tear in her eye, and I'm like, I am so sorry. She's like, we planted that tree when my granddaughter was born. And I was like, well, I had about two more hours to explain that story over and over again. The police department were real interested in my story, and the whole time I'm just sitting there going, wow, I created that. I made that whole thing happen if I had just been aware of what I was doing and where I'm going and what I was thinking. And so as I was putting together this, I'm like, oh, I can just share some stories about how I've gotten so that I expect the unexpected in my life. It's amazing. This one time, me and my little brother, we were down in Reno, Nevada, and there was just mountains all around us, and we have Lake Tahoe and all the ski resorts and everything. We decide, we had been hiking all those mountains. And so everywhere I look, I can remember things that me and my brother did. But there was this one hike that was in particular, there was one of the main ski resorts right as you're going up to Tahoe is called Mount Rose. And Mount Rose had a great elevation gain of about 3,000 feet from the parking lot up into the top. we're like, hey, let's go and do that. I hear there was just an amazing view from up there. And we're like, yeah, we're all gung-ho, and we woke up in the morning and it was just perfect. Beautiful sunshine. We're leaving early morning so that we can get up there about noon and just really take it all in. So we're hiking up there and we're just talking and having a good time and just loving it. And as we get up to the top, it did not disappoint. It was an amazing view all out. You had all of Tahoe laying in front of you here to the north, and then you got the Washoe Valley, and out in the distance you've got Reno and Sparks, and it was unbelievably awesome. And we're all hot and sweaty, so we take off our shirts and we're like, oh, let's grab a snack, and we're eating and sitting down and just really enjoying the splendor. And we look over and there's a box in a plastic bag. We're like, oh, wonder what that's all about. Open it up, and it's just kind of a little journal that people that were up there would just stop and write down a little something. So I'm kind of thumbing through it, eating an apple, and I see ladybugs, and I'm like, Then it's just talking about, how about those ladybugs and stuff like that. And I'm telling my brother, you see any ladybugs? And he's looking around, he's like, oh yeah, I see a couple over here. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. They weren't bright red, but they were kind of an orange red, but they were ladybugs. So as we're sitting there, keep thumbing through, and my brother's like, oh, look, more ladybugs. And look, a couple flying over here. And we're like, oh, that's kind of cool, right? And as we're sitting there, and we're probably 5-7 minutes in, and he's like, Dale, look over here. And there's like a kind of a little swarm of ladybugs. And we're like, what in the world? And we look over here, and there's more ladybugs. I'm like, oh, this is really strange. And so I'm reading through, and then finally I see, beware of the ladybugs, right as one lands on me, and it bites. And I'm like, whoa! And I'm like, ladybugs, and they just start landing on us. You know, our shirts are off, we're sweaty, they're sticking to us, they're getting in our hair, and we're like, what in the world? And so we're packing up, and they're biting, and we're, ow, ow! And we're just going crazy. These ladybugs are all over us. I mean, they're getting in our shirts, and we're like packing up, and we're running down the road, and they're just like all over us. It's like we stepped into a hornet's nest, but they're ladybugs. They're not supposed to bite. We got down to the car, and we looked like we had the measles. It was crazy. There were so many bites on us, and they were welts. I mean, they were really vampire ladybugs or something. I don't know. But it was the craziest thing. And no one would believe us, you know? But I did later on run into somebody that had a dealing with the ladybugs. And so they were just sitting there and wait for all of those wary hikers, I think. The craziest thing. One of those stories I will share a multitude of times, and people still just, what in the world? How did that happen? When I was in Reno, I had the opportunity to work in one of the casinos, one of the main casinos, Harrah's Casino down there. And that's actually what brought me up here, is we opened a Harrah's up in Bow Hill. But while I was down there, I had the opportunity to work in many different restaurants. Has anyone worked in a restaurant here? Restaurants are pretty cool, right? I kind of grew up in a restaurant, and I worked in a very busy restaurant. We would come in and set up at about 4, by about 5:30 we're packed. It was just all the gamers coming up, and people out to the shows, and people just having fun, maybe going out dancing. And this restaurant, it was called a Seafair, and it was a seafood restaurant. And boy, it would just get packed, and so it was a busy Friday night. And my job was to run the line, and so I was helping all the waiters and waitresses put together their soups, their salads, pull the dinners off, and put it on a big bus tray. That was about, probably 4 foot around. And what we'd do is we'd pile up all the meals, and then you would carry them out to the table. Well, we had a 15 top, which is 15 people there. And so they were really going all out. There was a cioppino on there, which is a red fish-based soup, and we had linguine and steak and lobster and shrimp, and this tray was huge and heavy. And that's why I got the honor of carrying these things. I was in pretty good shape, and I enjoyed it. So I get that hoisted up here, and you're just balanced, just right. And then what you do is you grab a tray jack, and you carry it out to the table, and you drop the tray jack, and then you set the tray down with all this food, and the waiter comes around and doles it out to the clients, to the guests. Well, I got this, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a heavy one. I come around the corner, and somebody had pulled out a chair and put it right where I didn't see it. So I'm like, whoa! And I'm like, and just one plate just slides, just right past my tipping point, and I'm like, whoa, 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 and it goes down. It explodes. There is linguine everywhere. There is clams everywhere. There are shrimp and lobster, and everybody was right in the blast zone. This whole table, 2 other tables on each side. It was incredible. And I'm just standing there. I'm like, and they're all, ah! It's just pandemonium. I mean, there is hot food on everyone. And I'm just like, that did not, I tell you, one of my first things is just run out the door. Just run out the door. Just run. But I couldn't. I was frozen in place. And thankfully my manager, oh God, she was great. She just came up and just started orchestrating this massive cleanup job. I mean, it would have taken 50 government guys to get this done. But she had it done with about 7 of us. And she was so gracious. I mean, she was really just taking care of everybody, and it was unbelievable. About 15 minutes later, we had everything cleaned up and moving in the right direction, all that food ordered and everything. And so I'm just standing there, and I'm still just kind of shaking from it all. I'm shaking right now. it was a little traumatic. But as I'm standing there, little table way back in the corner, they're like, "Sir." I'm like, "Oh, Lord, now what?" So I'm like, "How can I help you?" And they're like, "We believe this is yours." And there, between them, there's a nice little cocktail sauce racing stripe and a prawn sitting directly between their 2 plates. And I'm like, and they started howling. They thought it was the funniest thing because they had a front row seat to this whole thing. And I'm like, and I just lost it. And this table behind me, they're still mad, and they're, you know, casting me your wishes, and these 2 people are like, "We empathize with you." And it was just that little grace that said, "Wow, you know, it's not so bad. We'll make it through." But wow. So I've gotten to this point where I almost expect the unexpected. Things just happen to me. Just these little crazy little things. One other story comes to mind. So I don't, in my growing up, I didn't always make the best choices. Maybe that tray was a little too big. Another very interesting story. I've actually had 7 brushes with death, where I've come really close, and I mean, if just 1 second was off or one little thing didn't happen, I wouldn't be giving this speech. And so it's given me a lot of character, I think. This one time up at Tahoe, I spent a lot of time up at Lake Tahoe. Just beautiful. Has anyone been to Tahoe? Pretty nice, isn't it? So there's in the corner of Lake Tahoe is called Eagle Falls. And it's just a majestic waterfall. It drops about 75 feet into a big pile of granite boulders. There's no pool there, it's just boulders, and that's right up above Emerald Cove, and the water is so emerald green, and there's a little island there. It's just amazing. So I'm out kind of on a photo tour with my best friend and his girlfriend, which is now my wife, but that's a whole nother story. But we're just out driving around, and I'm taking pictures, and we're having fun and messing around. And we come up to Eagle Falls, and we're like, I gotta stop here and get some pictures. And I was taking some pictures with the waterfall shooting out over, and just some amazing photos. And the way Eagle Falls comes is before it drops over, there's a little island in the center and a nice big fir tree right in the middle. And I'm like, wow, that would be a great shot if I just jump over to this little island. And then I'd have the water rushing around me, and I can get a picture of the water and a little touch of the island, and then down over the emerald and all the lake. And it was a beautiful shot. I think I had thought it over about a nanosecond and jumped over to that island, and it was exactly that. It was amazing, and it was so deafening because you have the roar of this river coming around you, and I'm taking pictures, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just Zen mode. And I look over, and Patrick and my wife, well, his girlfriend, my wife, were like, hey, let's go. And I'm like, all right. So I go to get up, and obviously it's all wet. I'm in the middle of a river. My foot slips, and I go over. It's just the way I was sitting, I just went over, and I'm like doing a full spread eagle going over this waterfall. I'm like, this is it. This is it. I don't know how this happened, but I somehow, within about 15 feet, I went from here to swinging around, and I caught an outcrop. I'm in the middle of this waterfall, and I grab a hold, my camera's hanging there, and I grab it, and I slam right into the face of that rock. And I'm like, I'm sitting there, and this water is just filling up my camera, and it's in my face, and I can't hear, and I can't see. And I'm like, okay, how do I get out of this? and I'm thinking, wow, this is life or death. I mean, I know if I slip, it's gone. They told me it took about 8 to 10 minutes, but I slowly, hand over hand, found my way back up this waterfall. And as I come up over the top, there's about a half a dozen people that saw the whole thing unfold. And they're like, and I'm like, hey, I'm back! I thought it was quite funny at that time. I cried later, but I'm a little bit more careful about what I do now, but I've still had a lot to brush it. But what I've come to find over the years is that I really just kind of expect things to happen. I didn't always laugh at them, but I'm able to laugh now. And so I just want to thank you all for being part of my comedy. Thank you.